Hello everyone, thank you for staying with us. I know this is day 4 of an amazing 4-day event. I don't want to say that they've saved the best to last, but let's see how we go. All right, so let me introduce myself and our esteemed panel members. Jane May, I'm a partner in our London business, although I spend most of my time in the Middle East, working across a spectrum of energy customers over there, and focus really around kind of talent transition and establishing future workforce strategies. I'll pass on to my colleague Amit.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amit Kumar. I'm a professor and Canada Research Chair in the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. I work more on assessment of energy systems and a lot of work on integration of the AI into the energy sector. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ayush?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ayush. I work as Director HR with GAIL India Limited, Maharatna public sector undertaking responsible for transmission of and distribution and marketing of natural gas across the country.
Okay, thank you, Manish.
Yeah. Good morning. I'm Manish Patil. I'm Director HR with ONGC and a company which is in upstream sector in exploration and production of crude oil. I'm working for last 35 years and I've worked in different geographies and different departments, and for last around 10 plus years I'm with HR.
Thank you. All right, so I think you've probably all heard a lot about how AI is really transforming our industry. There's a lot of kind of known factors and maybe some less known factors around how that is transforming, from optimizing operations to really helping predict regulation and reform, and then also improving our sustainability efforts. I think there is absolutely, investing in AI is not a challenge for our industry. We continue to see that productivity demand and that growth potential is there. However, I do often hear from our clients and leaders that they're not really seeing the realization of that benefit and those investments. Of course, one way to really maximize and unlock some of that growth potential is through humans. And that combination of how you get the most out of a human and an adjunct workforce as well. So that's what we're here to talk to you about today. So with that in mind, I think, Manish, I wanted to ask you a question, and we just heard from our previous panel a lot around upskilling and reskilling. It's a very popular topic around the area of AI and workforce. How are you thinking about this for your organizations, for the people that you work with a focus for really, creating almost a tidal wave of positive change?
I would like to start this with a little bit of context. Every energy company in the world right now is going through, the entire working is getting affected on 3 parameters. 1, technology. 2, transition. And the 3rd is the size. When I talk about transition, it is only the question of speed. It depends on the affordability, and sooner or later the transition is going to happen, because this is what we have been hearing in this entire IEW and even earlier also. When you talk about size, in fact, across the world, it's the size of organizations which is mattering. Smaller organizations are going to get either collaborated with one another, or they are taken over by somebody which is a bigger one. So it is a survival of the bigger one. So it leaves us with a 3rd question, 3rd aspect, which is technology. Now this is where the AI things definitely connects in. We in ONGC, at least I can talk about, we have looked at it from 3 perspectives for our employees. 1 is communicate. 2nd is create an opportunity. Communicate the relevance. And 3rd is congratulate them or compliment them. In fact, ONGC per se, and for that matter, the companies in petroleum and natural gas sector, they are highly technical companies. In fact, in ONGC, we have almost around 60% of manpower, which is the executives, and 80% of the total manpower is technically qualified. I was just comparing this with late 90s and early 2000, when India as a country was a place where business process outsourcing was very prevalent. The call centers were set up in India because that was the time when we were expert in that. Come 2022, 23, there are a lot of GCC centers are being set up in India. It indicates the skilling which has moved from a particular level to another level. In fact, today, apart from not so literate to literate, the employee group has become literate to very highly literate. Now, this is where, when we communicate, it helps us because most of the employees are aware about this, because apart from the company work, they are even otherwise from the social media or their own context, they are aware about this. So it's a simple task. Create is a challenge, where what we have started doing is we have been asking our employees through various training programs hitherto, which are called as, functional training program for safety or for the functional training, wherein we try to tell them about what is the thing to come in, what are the developments in the industry. At least they appreciate, and we encourage them to be part of this innovation train, so that they are in a position to understand, appreciate, and also be part of the progress of the organization. And lastly, we compliment them. We compliment them on even a smaller achievement which they might have had, because it has got a larger repercussion for all the public at large. I may communicate many things, but when it is seen by people that somebody who has done it is getting, rewarded for it, it creates a larger wave. So in this way, we have been in a position to tell people about, say, brick and mortar companies were one sort of a companies where AI is getting introduced now. We have got rigs which do the drilling, which have come to a next generation rigs, which learn based on what they drill. So we need the skill set to be just moved from what you knew to what is required for you to do with this new generation. So this is the way in which we have been involving all our employees in various part of trainings, the inputs towards AI. And let me share with you, this has been received very well, because they find it a direct connect immediately. So this is the way in which we have been in a position to do.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, very helpful. I think we continue to see that transition away from kind of operational, strategic upskilling and reskilling, and I think a real evolution into some of the, maybe some of the softer skills, so, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, problem solving, etc. So that's really nice to hear. Amit, if I can ask you the next question. As the energy sector, of course, continues to evolve, the focus continues to be around new solutions build, new solutions design, particularly for that sustainability environment, to be moving through energy transition. What role do you think that AI plays in driving a net zero future workforce?
Okay, yeah, excellent question. If you look at, globally, different jurisdictions have set up their net zero goals, 2050, some little later. If you look at fundamentally the baskets of options to get to net zero, because it directly goes to the core pathways how we try to get to net zero, the skills and the training required, and how AI could be implemented into this. So if I look at the very first baskets, it's the energy efficiency. Low-hanging fruit, we do it, we have been doing it since decades across the world. But now there are some applications of AI which helps you in improving your efficiency further. So the skill set which is basically needed is in terms of training the people, in terms of improving the efficiency. And I would say this would be basically applicable to any sector that you look at. Oil and gas, you look at residential sector, you look at commercial sector, any of these sectors. Improving efficiency is key, and the skills needed for that is particular to typically looking at how do we look at the historical data and use a lot of those historical data in developing the results which can be used in predicting some of these energy efficient operating parameters conditions. And the second basket of options, a lot of things we talk about, and renewables. Any of the renewables is in the second basket that I consider, where you produce electricity, heat from these renewable sources. Some of these renewables, again, application of AI is more in terms of, again, getting to those optimized condition. I can give you an example. For example, wind. We generate wind power, wind to electricity. But because of the intermittency, we can use that power either way through store it, and store it maybe in form of hydrogen. Now, a lot of these applications of AI helps us in getting to that optimized conditions where we could produce hydrogen or we produce electricity. So again, a lot of skills is needed in terms of looking at those optimal operations of AI in renewable sector. Also in a lot of materials that you produce. Renewable sector, a lot of materials, and especially in terms of hydrogen, transportation through pipelines. Special materials is needed to build those hydrogen pipelines. Nuclear reactors, I mean the previous panel talked about nuclear reactors, the materials for nuclear reactors, a lot of application of machine learnings and AI in developing those materials, especially for a small modular nuclear reactor. And then the third basket goes into where you do carbon capture and storage and sequestration. And I again see the specific skills needed in terms of carbon capture and storage, a lot of pipelining, a lot of geological
leader. Boss is the one whom we are told to follow. Leader is the one whom we want to follow. Now, talking about this AI impact, which is going to come in the future, when the time is short for change, it is always better that it is driven from the top. Because the culture of an organization is nothing but something which is practiced, which is found to be right, and then only it is accepted, and that is how the organizational culture comes in. I talked about communicate, create, complement or celebrate. For a leader, a fourth dimension has to come in, which says collaborate. Because this is where the leader, by exhibiting, by performing, by doing the way in which the technology is leveraged to the best, sows the seed for the people or the employees to follow that this is the right way to do. To just give an example, rather than carrying big sort of files, we in ONGC we've decided that the board of directors or the chairman, we go on a meeting not with any paper. We got to make notes on the iPad that you have. We got to give the various discussions take place, minutes of the meeting are to be passed from by giving the confirmation then and there itself. For the leaders to be more sensitive to this, we have various kind of things. One of the things which I can definitely share with you because the time is short, is something to give the leaders, those who are in the leadership position should have a flair of every aspect of the business. Because us being a highly technical company, we have got people who spend almost their entire career in one particular discipline, but it was felt that this is not something which is enabling them, particularly from the perspective of accepting and imbibing those technologies which are otherwise in general. So by giving them the width roles at a particular stage onward, we encourage them to do this, and that is where they start appreciating the other aspect. Because AI is all pervasive today. Any aspect, what Ayush was talking about, for the people who are afraid that AI is going to take their jobs and all, there are three things only which I would like to say. First, upskill. Second, upskill. Third, upskill. There is nothing else. I don't know if those who are here who have seen that entertainment. So this is the only way out. If the rigs are getting new generation rigs which are going to get automated, the guys who are operating, 3 guys who are changing the pipe when it comes in, they just put a wrench and the pipe changes. If they are educated enough, they need to look at that aspect which runs that automation. That skill set has to move from here to there. That's the only thing which is required. And this drive has to come from the leader who has to appreciate it. They have to demonstrate it. They have to encourage. And ultimately, they have to make people collaborate and learn together. So this is what I would say in this short time, which I wanted to make this point.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, that's really, really helpful. Upskilling. Yes. I think we won't forget that. Excellent. All right, Ayush, maybe if I can come back to you. One of the benefits of AI on the future workforce, and I think Manish, you mentioned this as well, is around collaboration. So the collaboration of both, technology and the human factor, but it is also an opportunity to collaborate and extend your network. So, yeah, I think Ayush, if it'd be really interested to hear, what's your experiences on organizations and, how can we collaborate better across that ecosystem?
Yeah, I'll just take you to a few years or rather decades back when we started talking of, not exactly the word AI even was not there, and when the technological interventions were there, we started with in our early years when we were born, most of us were born, we heard that, okay, a robot can play chess, he can use his intelligence, there were certain algorithms being used to do routine tasks. And then came a decade or a few years later, we started coming to know about washing machines and different equipments using fuzzy logics, and those words were buzzwords. Fuzzy logic we used to hear, and in our engineering days we were studying neural networks and those things which could ease out your work and which will bring a transformation. And come forward, in last few years we had been hearing about AI, ML, IoT of things, Internet of Things and all those things. And right now we are talking of generative AI and things. So one thing when we are talking of skilling, upskilling, collaborating, trying to bring technology together, interface between human intelligence and artificial intelligence which becomes critical. We also have to keep in mind while we are talking of all these things, what the rate of change with which the things are changing, with the way, the kind of research going on, the companies putting in a lot of efforts and research doing. We were talking of ChatGPT, now the DeepSeek is there, and overnight things change. So how do we bring in that resilience within the organization and adaptability to that kind of a change, that tomorrow morning when you get up, you may have something new in front of you which may have to, all the efforts which you have been making in the last 3 years may come to a zero and you'll have to start afresh. How do you bring in that kind of adaptability or collaboration between technology and the employees which are there? You can't change the employees. You may be able to change the technology. You may be able to bring a new equipment or technology or tools, but the employees are going to stay there. You are the one, they are the ones who will drive those changes or implementation, and that is where skilling, upskilling and all those kind of adaptability becomes critical. And that is one area which I feel becomes most important for all of us in terms of collaborating together, whether it is academia, whether it is solution providers or the implementers of that, or the users, end users, becomes really critical.
Of course, and you just forgot consultants in that mix as well, yeah, of course, very, very important. Excellent. I think we're at time, so before they get the hook and drag us off stage, thank you so much for my esteemed colleagues for joining me, and thank you for the time today. Thanks a lot.